We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. We're live on DSTV channel 279. Let's start off with a rather sad development. And Ghanaian comedian and actor Benson Anan, popularly known as Funny Face, has been involved in a car accident at Kakraba Junction at Kaswa. The actor did not sustain any injuries, but was reported to have knocked down 3 pedestrians and crashed into 2 motorbikes. It is not clear yet what may have caused the actor to knock down the pedestrians, a mother and her 2 kids. However, eyewitnesses alleged that the comedian was engaged in drunk driving, which led to the accident. According to an eyewitness who narrated the sad incident, the comedian knocked down the mother and her 2 kids and crashed into 2 motorbikes. And the victims have been transported to hospital for treatment. One of the victims, a young boy, is reported to be in a very critical condition. The police is yet to respond to the matter. We'll follow up on this very development and surely furnish you with updates in our subsequent bulletins. Away from that, the Ministries of Education, Employment and Labour Relations are scheduled to meet leadership of the striking pre-tertiary teacher unions today, March 25, to resolve their grievances. The meeting follows the persistent defiance of the pre-tertiary teacher unions to call off their strike started on Wednesday, March 20, despite calls by government and the National Labour Commission to that effect. The unions, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CTT Ghana, are protesting what they say is the breakdown in negotiations on their conditions of service and the freezing of salaries for teachers by the special prosecutor.
Nationwide strike. The teacher unions included the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers. The teacher unions were demanding a negotiation of their conditions of service, which expired in 2020. The unions also raised other grievances, which included the freezing of the salaries of over 4,000 teachers by the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
The rampant changes of the school calendar without recourse to negotiation with the teacher unions is affecting the smooth operation of the service.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission says the action is based on bad faith.
We are calling on the leadership of the pre-tertiary teacher unions to call off the strike and let us continue to engage.
The National Labour Commission has since summoned the striking teachers to appear before it on Tuesday, March 26.
Certainly, they know the Labour Act as union leaders, but it was crafted by the tripartite, that's the unions, the government, and employers. So whoever becomes the leader of a union in Ghana knows about the Labour Act. So it's quite unfortunate, but then I don't know why they choose to do that. But anyway, we are here as the regulators to enforce the law and we'll do just that.
The Ministries of Education, Employment and Labour Relations have scheduled a meeting for Monday, March 25 to resolve the grievances of the striking teachers.
And our President Akufo-Addo is expected to launch the much anticipated One Student, One Laptop initiative for senior high school students today. The initiative, which is to enhance advanced computer literacy and technological know-how among the students, was announced last year by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as government's decision to further demonstrate its commitment to secondary education. The laptops would be preloaded with programs that can be accessed anywhere in the country offline without internet connectivity. Our presidential reporter will be on that development and give us updates later on. Still on matters at the labor front, and the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association continues its series of protests by wearing red armbands at the various health facilities across the country today. The association is demanding a revision of charges on license verification from 550 cedis to 3,000 cedis by the Nursing and Midwifery Council. The association intends to escalate the protest by withdrawing outpatient department services from March 28 to April 2, culminating in a complete withdrawal of inpatient and other essential services from April 3. In more news this morning, the Asanteni Otumfuo Say to the Second has charged the Electoral Commission to be fair as it prepares to organize the 2024 polls. He also wants political parties to be mindful of their comments during campaigns. He's been speaking at the 57th Special Congregation of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi.
Ghana, our dear nation, should reaffirm its commitment to democratic principles as we prepare to navigate the electoral process once more. As the campaign temperature gains momentum, it is incumbent on all stakeholders, particularly the political parties and their teaming supporters, to uphold the sanctity of discourse and refrain from the propagation of divisive rhetoric and incendiary language. The Electoral Commission must also ensure fairness and be seen to be an impartial arbiter in the electoral process. Our collective aspiration must be to foster an environment of mutual respect and constructive dialogue. In priding ourselves as a democratic nation, I urge all to unite in our resolve to safeguard the integrity of our established democratic institutions and uphold the noble ideals upon which our nation stands. Let us once again show the world that we are indeed a democratic nation. It is my hope that for once, the political campaign will focus on how to productively engage the youth to drive the economy.
Just like Asante, I'm sure you have expectations of the upcoming general elections. Go on to our social media platform, Facebook, engage us. We'll surely read them and share them to the rest of the world. And now the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has taken steps to mend the cracks and division among the Ashanti Regional Party executives. Ibrahim Abubakar reports 6 of the executives on Saturday, March 23, petitioned the party's national office to postpone the inauguration of the regional campaign team scheduled for March 24, which is Sunday, until the concerns are resolved. Take a listen.
In the name of Almighty God. The Ashanti Regional Campaign Team for the MPP has been launched to hit the grounds running for the December 7 election. Ahead of the event, some 6 regional executives petitioned the national headquarters over issues of neglect by the regional chairman and other myriad of concerns. But the Ashanti Regional Minister says those concerns are being addressed.
And I'm sure we will solve in such a way that we will all come together as a united front and move forward to election 2024.
The regional chairman, Bernard Nchubo-Sianko, believes with unity, retaining power is a done deal for the New Patriotic Party.
We know how to win the power. So the 2024, we are going to win the power. That's a wedding in Abeba.
The National Campaign Coordinator, Dan Kwekuboche, advised party members to refrain from washing their dirty linens in public.
Our motto, development and freedom. Our forebears died and suffered so that people could air their view, so that we can have freedom. So we'll be the last people to suppress anybody's view. But it's also important that once you agree to join a group with a constitution, with norms, with the way of doing things, you conform to it.
The regional MPP chairman was selected to lead the campaign in Ashanti, whilst the regional minister deputizes him. So in one voice, the party leadership is calling for unity, if indeed it wants to break the 8. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
With barely 8 months to the December 7 polls, the 2024 elections promise to be one keenly contested as independent candidates prepare to wrestle power from the 2 main political parties during the polls. My colleague Noble Crosby Anan in this report gets up close with one of the new faces in Ghana politics.
If anything, the 2024 general elections promises to be the most anticipated, with the 2 major political parties keen on victory. Now, there's a wave of new candidates seeking to break through in becoming a potential third force. Movement for Change, the New Force, and possible new faces unknown to the voting public. They are bent on making an impression. The latest, George Chumberima Edu. He wants to, as he puts it, break the two.
Ghana's political landscape has not favored presidential candidates not affiliated with any of the two leading parties, the National Democratic Congress or the New Patriotic Party in the Fourth Republic. Independent presidential candidates, many say, are on a popularity test run or may have other motives than wanting to be president. But for George Chumberima, he is resolute.
I am very, very, very bent serious about this. I am not testing my popularity. I don't do those things. I don't go in as an experiment. I go in seriously, and I am determined to ensure that indeed the two is broken.
But where is this strong conviction coming from? The wind of a third force?
Political parties have done us harm. And it is better we have a president who is not affiliated at all to any party whatsoever and shall rule as head of state and not head of party. The two parties are very good at campaigning and politicking and winning elections, and very bad and very poor at governance.
The technology enthusiast says he was well on his way.
Winning elections is not expensive. It is the parties who have made it expensive. They've deliberately made it that way, and to ensure that nobody else can be able to come into the game. And yes, you need money to run an election, but you don't need tons of money which the parties are spending.
Chumberima is confident his policies aimed at building a strong nation that is self-reliant and free from foreign aid will sit well with the voting public.
Now, the National Communications Authority, NCA, says it is negotiating with major partners to acquire broadband satellite services to augment the country's internet and data services. According to the authority, the move will help prevent recurrence of the recent internet disruptions as Ghana prepares for the 2024 general elections and preserve national security.
The unexpected internet blackout experienced in Ghana and West Africa a few days ago exposed vulnerabilities in the nation's connectivity infrastructure. The disruption grounded several business operations, leaving thousands of people frustrated and unable to access basic online platforms. It sparked concerns, with many blaming the country's reliance on external service providers. Internet services across the three major networks are reported to be of full 100% capacity. But the recent event raised concerns of national security, especially as Ghana readies for the general election on 7th December this year. Addressing the media on Sunday, March 24th, the Director General of the National Communications Authority, Joe Anoche, assured NCA is also pursuing terrestrial fiber extension with the appropriate regulators as a preventive measure.
NCA has augmented our existing satellite licensing portfolio to include recent broadband satellite services to provide alternative connectivity options for domestic and enterprise users. The next thing we want to do is we need to engage with other regulators in the sub-region to look into terrestrial fiber. If we do have that, then whenever your subsea fiber goes down, you can leverage on that.
He also touched on calls by members of the public for compensation.
Telecel have communicated to their customers that they will be receiving compensation. Hopefully, the other MNOs will follow suit, but we will certainly, that's the work that we do. We will intervene and make sure that is done.
And our ranking member for the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapo, is warning that a future NDC government would fish out public officials who were involved in spending some $12 million on the botched Ijapa deal. Speaking in an interview on hot issues, the Yape Kosogu MP said figures available indicate that the state lost more than $12 million from the shady deal.
They told us that they contracted the services of some law firms, insurance firms, some investment advising firms. But the point is that we kept cautioning them that it wasn't going to be feasible. The structure was not good. You go and establish such a body in a safe haven where the reporting standards are not very, very good. And the level of opacity, who are the true beneficial owners, we didn't know. So clearly, it wasn't well thought out.
$12 million on services alone.
On all kinds of unnecessary expenditure. And for me, that's very, very unfortunate. And when I saw the list, I told myself, why would you do that?
Is this retrievable money? Can we get it back?
Well, it will be very difficult because these are companies that did not compel you. So worst case scenario is that you might be charging a public officer for willfully causing financial loss to the states. Because the companies are independent. They did not compel you. They did not put a gun on your head. You went and asked for their services. And if you ask a lawyer to write an opinion for you, and you pay a huge amount, you cannot blame that lawyer unless you establish some level of conspiracy or duplicity. And so those public officials would have to be held liable. We have to ensure that they pay for their actions, and that would be or serve as a deterrent for other future decisions that will be taken by public officials.
Well, in more news this morning, after days of internet outages across West and Central Africa, as a result of multiple damages to underwater cables, there's some relative stability regarding connectivity. Telcos have secured redundancies to restore the old capacity, while capacity providers are working around the clock to fix the main cables. The multiple damages to the undersea cables are reported to have occurred along the western coast of Africa near Abidjan in Ivory Coast. It's a reason we are here to get first-hand information and also get closer to the issue regarding repair works. And I'm reliably informed that the undersea cables are kilometers away from where I am, and so the layperson cannot be exposed to these cables unless persons manning them. Just like Ghana, the Ivory Coast was heavily impacted. Businesses were not spared.
Si on va regarder le film, ça passe pas, ça vient, ça bloque, ça vient, ça bloque. Mais si on va appeler au Ghana même là, c'est difficile pour moi pour appeler au Ghana.
Watching movies was a challenge, and also it was difficult reaching my family back home in Ghana. But now internet service is quite okay, but it could be better.
Here we are using some software to make some booking, all those stuffs. But without internet, we can't be efficient, you see. And then also about the transport, Yango, people have to order via this app, but internet wasn't working. Yeah. Also in the public administration, when you go for some documents or all those stuff, those things have been put on hold.
Let me give you a fair idea of some of the cables that have been affected. We have SAR3, West Africa Cable System WAS, we have the Africa Coast to Europe ACE, we have Main 1 subsea cable and other cables. And when you look at small telcos in Africa, they rely heavily on Main 1 because it's West Africa's leading data center and connectivity solutions provider. They have presence in Ivory Coast, Ghana and Nigeria. It's a reason these countries are experiencing some sort of downtime. Seismic activities within the Abidjan waters ruptured 4 undersea cables. Main 1, a major capacity provider for most telcos in Ghana, has been tight-lipped over the issue. But on their website and social media channels, it is evident that the company is working around the clock to resolve the issue. The news team gathered that what is delaying is permission from the Ivorian government, which will grant access to the subsea cable landing service providers to execute repair works in the deep waters. Telcos have sustained services by securing redundancies to restore their old capacity. Just like how these main cables have been damaged, the redundancy cables are faced with a similar fate. They could be ruptured at any time. What really matters now is getting the main cables fixed.
Currently, yes, we are on redundancy. Customers or users are beginning to even forget that something like this happened 2 weeks ago, but it's important that we do not get comfortable. If there's a need for governments to talk to governments, it needs to happen. If there's a need for regulators to engage regulators, let's have all of these cross-national collaborations to be able to ensure that the repair works are done and are done in speedy time.
Telecom analyst Derek Laye is concerned about the challenges being faced in an election year.
There are quite a number of elections also coming up along the West Coast, from Senegal all the way to Ghana, that's having its own in December, and we do not want to be running countries or economies on redundancy. So there's that need to get everybody, everything that needs to be pushed through to make this thing work, so that into the future we know that we can move back to where we were, and then we keep the redundancy cables for redundancies.
In an era where internet connectivity has become crucial, the internet outages have exposed our addiction, maybe showing how weak our digital system is. George Quinnin, TV3 News, Abidjan, Ivory Coast. But that's it for the bulletin. Thanks for watching. Have a good morning.